Hello there. Now, if you clicked on this video, I'm gonna assume that you are a coffee enthusiast or you have coffee enthusiasts that you are about to start shopping for. And I know better than most people that we are a very picky bunch of folks. We have our tricks and our toys and we really, really like them. So shopping for us can kind of be a pain, and that's what this video aims to fix. Now, this is the third year running that I have done a holiday gift guide for the coffee nerd. This is the one time of year that I allow myself to use that phrase, and I'm very excited about what we have to feature this year. Now, this is my disclaimer that I do before all of these videos. I will have everything compiled that I show today down in the description below. I have it in a blog post with clickable links, so it should be easy for you to shop through if there's anything that catches your liking. Now, all of these products and things that I'm gonna be showing you today are things that I use personally or have used and have gone through some pretty rigorous testing and use. Not all of them were things that I purchased myself. Some of these have been gifted, some of them have just been generally accumulated over the years, but I don't let that impact this gift list. These are all like fun things that I think most coffee nerds will enjoy. And the very last thing is there may be a few items that you have seen before in previous gift lists, but I've done my best to make sure everything is fresh and new and exciting for this year. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, today we are gonna be organizing this into 4 different sections, and those will be time-stamped, so if you wanna skip around the video and go to different areas, you can do that. The first thing we're gonna look at are coffee books. The second thing are gonna be coffee drinkware. Then we're gonna look at coffee tools, which is gonna be the bulk of this video. And lastly, we're gonna look at miscellaneous coffee additions that don't really fit into any of these categories, but your coffee nerd might like them as well. My favorite section, we have the books first. There has been a book section in pretty much every gift guide I have ever done, and so if you want even more book suggestions, I suggest you go back to this one. But for this year, I found some new books that are coffee and coffee adjacent that I think are good gifting additions. Starting off, we kind of have a classic in the world of coffee history and coffee knowledge. This is a book called Uncommon Grounds by Mark Pendergrast. This is perhaps for your coffee scholar. This is a really interesting book that dives pretty academically into a look into coffee history, both as a crop and also as a cultural drink. Really fascinating. It's a pretty big read, so they'll have a lot to chew with this. Next, we have The New Art of Coffee by Ryan Castellaz. Now, Ryan is actually kind of a friend of mine, and this is a real favorite book of mine. I actually did a live stream with him when this book launched, and we did a whole drink creation session together, which was super fun. However, the best way to think about this book is that it is a cookbook for coffee. So in the world of cocktails, you'll find so many cocktail books. like it's a never-ending shelf full of interesting drinks you can make that use spirits as the base, and this is the same principle but for coffee. So whether you are using espresso or Aeropress or filter or cold brew or any method of coffee, Ryan has interesting drink creations in here for you. Additionally, he explains his drink making process very thoroughly and in a way that I feel like, if you take it to heart, will inspire you to make drinks of your own. This entire book is just full of pretty coffee drinks and delicious things that you want to put in your mouth. If you want a cookbook for coffee, this is where you should start. Moving a little bit adjacently of that, this is a book called Zero Proof by Elva Ramirez, and this is not necessarily coffee focused. However, I think if you are interested in making coffee beverages that are kind of cocktail inspired and in a similar vein as The New Art of Coffee, this is also a really good thing to have in your arsenal. This is a book that focuses on NA drinks, so drinks that are non-alcoholic, and you can very easily incorporate coffee into a lot of these. So what I would kind of recommend is if you really enjoy The New Art of Coffee and that sparks some curiosity into drink making, follow it up with this one, because a lot of these are very good foundations that you can add coffee to, and you end up with a really delicious coffee drink slash mocktail. Someone recently asked me what books I like to read in regards to being inspired with drink making, and the answer is cocktail books. So it's a majority of cocktail books all the way down. A lot of those tools and tricks and things from that world can be applied to coffee very easily. Now, the next book I have here is one that is quite literally a Bible, and it is suitably thick as well. This is called The Flavor Bible, and it is a James Beard award-winning book, and it is referenced all across both the food, the cocktail, and the coffee world. Really, this book is just a massive resource for all things flavor, and there's not really like one section or one thing I recommend you do with this. I just recommend you have this on your shelf, and if you're ever making a drink or cooking or trying to find different ways to talk about a flavor in coffee, just kind of crack this open and take a look. Chances are you'll find what you're looking for. This is a beast. It's very helpful. I use it all the time. All right, we are going pretty zippy today. This is gonna be the last literary thing that we have to look at today. This is a little bit less a book and more of a magazine. This right here is Standart. Now, Standart is a quarterly publication, so this is something you would subscribe to or you would subscribe someone else to. And it is a magazine that focuses around all things coffee, but it looks at coffee not necessarily from just a straight on perspective. It really looks at the art and science and just kind of the culture surrounding coffee. So you will be liable to find things in here that talk about cafe design. You'll find intricate like tool breakdowns. You'll find really deep discussions on scientific coffee, like sensory aspects. You'll also find people talking about their stories in coffee. It's really like it's kind of everything we all love about coffee culture. This is a very, very high quality publication. They do an excellent job in the sourcing of their articles and their photography and their art design. So this is a fun little gift that kind of keeps giving back because you get new ones kind of throughout the year. All right, I feel like I did that pretty quickly. We now move on to drinkware. I need to go collect all that drinkware. I'll be right back. I want to give a huge thank you to Trade Coffee for sponsoring today's video. We've been talking a lot about gifting today, but let's talk about one of the best gifts you can give your loved ones, the gift of better coffee. Trade is a coffee subscription service that makes it easy to explore new coffees from the comfort of your own home. Trade partners with the nation's top-rated independent roasters to send you the best quality coffee you can get, and whether you know what you like or are new to specialty coffee, Trade has you covered. This holiday season, give the gift of coffee through a Trade subscription, empowering the receiver to begin their coffee journey with the knowledge that Trade has over 450 unique coffees to choose from. Or you can also gift them a coffee gift box like this one. The Alma Variety Tasting Kit includes a full bag of coffee along with 6 sample bags that showcase different processing methods and roast levels. It's a great way to explore different types of coffee, and this is only one of the many Trade gift box options this season. So if you're ready to get started and check a whole bunch of people off your gifting list, then head down to the top link in the description to get a free bag of coffee with any subscription purchase. That's drinktrade.com/MDC for a free bag of coffee with any subscription purchase. Okay, coffee drinkware. As coffee people, and probably likely some tea people are here as well, we like our mugs and our cups, and I have some that I like a little bit more than others, and I want to share those with you today. I've done my best to put these in order of price, so we're going to start with the most affordable, also the smallest options, and then we'll move up in price to some of the more premium offerings. We'll start with our tiniest cups of today. These are gonna be Joey espresso cups from Fellow Products. These are a very nice, high quality, insulated espresso cup that both functions really well, but also looks really nice on your bar. I actually used these exact ones in competition last year. They served me incredibly well. They have this lovely copper base and then a very lovely just kind of like texture all the way through them. They're very pleasant to drink out of, so espresso becomes a very enjoyable experience in these, and overall they just tend to be my favorite when it comes to at-home espresso cups. However, if you find yourself preferring more of the classic handmade ceramic route of glasses, these are some that you might be very interested in. Now, these are just a few offerings from the company that makes these. These are from MK Ceramics, and they're a ceramic studio out of Copenhagen. You can see their logo there on the bottom. If you have watched any barista or brewer's routines in the past like 3 to 4 years, you have likely seen these cups being used before. They're incredibly popular, and they come in all sorts of sizes and colorways and patterns. These just happen to be 2 of them. This is one of their smaller offerings, and then this is one of their tasting glasses. So you'll notice it has a very unique shape that allows for lots of swirling and then kind of a funneling of those aromatics to your nose when you bring the cup up to sip. They are a little bit more pricey, and of course they're coming from Copenhagen, so if you are in the US, sometimes shipping can be a little expensive, but I have a whole arsenal of these. I love them. I think they're very beautiful. And you'll also look kind of cool because you're using cups that barista competitors use. or very uncool. It really depends on your perspective there. Moving on, we go back to fellow products. This is the Stagg tasting glass. Now this is a double-walled glass I was gonna say container. It's not a container, it's a cup. But this means that you are able to brew out of something that is nice and glass and transparent without the potential of burning your hands due to a single-walled glass container. Keep saying container, it's a glass. These are pretty intentionally thought through. You'll notice that the main body of this is all double walled, so you can hold it with a hot liquid inside very easily. But then, once you get up to the top, you have these nice thin, like kind of curved lips to the glass, meaning that it is a very pleasant drinking experience. They're pretty ergonomic when it comes to consuming coffee. I find myself opting to use these far more than anything else in my cabinet. Moving over towards thermoses, but staying with fellow, we have two different options for two different temperature drinks here. Now these are both from the Carter series of thermoses that fellow sells. This is gonna be the Carter Move mug, and then this one right here is the Carter Cold. Now, I will note that the classic Carter shape here, you can put hot or cold liquids in it, of course, but this one is optimized for cold. I mean, you have the straw, you have it's a classic cold to go mug. I've talked about these in years past, and you've probably seen these before, so I don't think I need to go into that much detail, but the gist of the story is these both come in many incredible colorways. They function very well, they keep things very cold, they keep things very hot. Overall, they're just really solid purchases, and I'm not really one to be in a kind of a collect them all sort of attitude. However, I will say I do have many of these and many different colors, and I love them all. You can also kind of mix and match your lids and all sorts of stuff. So it's a fun scenario. This is kind of my hydro flask, if you will. Okay, and then lastly, we have the the expensive one. It feels like a gift guide doesn't go by without me including something from Ember on it. And this right here is one of their newer releases. Now, if you're not familiar with Ember and their mugs, Ember makes smart mugs. So they are compatible with an app and they allow you to very specifically control the temperature of your beverage that is within them. Now they have a very classic line that is just like an at-home, like standard mug with a handle. However, they recently came out with a to-go line of mugs. Now the technology in this mug is very similar to what you're used to if you have one of their classic line of mugs. The pad is the same. You'll notice the coils on the bottom are the same. This one is just to go and a bit larger and a bit more expensive. This is definitely one of the more bougier options on this list. However, if you or your loved one are very particular about the temperature of your coffee, even when on the go, this might be a good choice because this will give you very, very precise control. It's also hefty and it feels pretty good. It kind of, I'll be honest, it kind of feels like a weapon a little bit, as in I could just swing this and kind of club someone with it. But that is not part of the manufacturer's recommended use. That's just my personal note. All right, that was another section down. We now move on to our coffee tools section. So let me go get all of those, and there are quite a few. I'll be right back. Now, it might seem silly to buy someone spoons for Christmas, but believe me, if you love your coffee person, you will buy them spoons in many different shapes and sizes. You will almost always see spoons on my holiday gift list, and for good reason. We love our spoons. Now, these are all from Umeshiso, who I have talked about many times before, and these two larger ones are specifically for cupping. So if your coffee person likes to cup coffee either at home or at work, it might be nice to give them one for themselves. They can have it kind of slotted into their apron or their belt and walk around like a very cool coffee person. There are two different shapes here. This is called the Little Dipper. This one is called the Big Dipper. This is like personal preference. You'll notice the Little Dipper is first of all smaller. It also has a slightly deeper bowl to the actual spoon, whereas the Big Dipper is a little bit wider. Either one work, really personal preference. Additionally, Umeshiso sells a lovely set of matching espresso spoons. So if your coffee person is an espresso stirrer rather than espresso swirler, it could be a nice thing to get them a cute little set of matching spoons to go with their cupping spoon. I promise those are all the spoons I have to show you today. Let's talk about some brewers next. Now, I am operating this gift list under the assumption that your person probably has a foundation of their coffee setup. So whether that be an espresso machine and a grinder or a brewer and a grinder, they have one or the other. However, these are some ones they might also like. And these are all pretty affordable. This is like the trifecta of one's coffee brewing setup. Starting off over here, we have the Kalita Wave. This is a flat bottomed brewer. Over here, we have the Hario V60, which is a conical brewer. And then right back here, we have the good old Aeropress, and if you know, you know, but it feels a little bit illegal for me to be having one of these right now. Things tend to go very, very wrong when I have one in my grasp. Regardless though, all of these are very classic brewers. They are versatile, they are fun, and they all brew very delicious cups of coffee. Next off, if your person is a latte artist or an aspiring latte artist, chances are they have some pitchers or they might need some pitchers. I recommend investing in at least one like nice higher grade pitcher if you are exploring latte art, but ideally you'll have two, preferably two different sizes. Now, both of these are from Slow Pour Supply, which I highly recommend for all of your pitcher needs, but these two happen to be my personal favorites, and it's kind of nice that they come in the same colorway. Both of these have round spouts, so you'll notice here the spouts or the lips of these pitchers are both very wide and then also curved out. This allows for a really nice flow of milk, and I feel like it makes these pitchers pretty approachable for even beginners, but it allows for growth as you get better at latte art. Now this one right here, the larger one, is considered their 22-ounce pitcher. That is how it will be listed online. And this one over here is their 15-ounce pitcher. If you only make one particular drink size, you can get away with just having one pitcher, but I think it's nice to have both just to have versatility in your drink size that you can make. And additionally, it's nice to play around with different pitchers and get the feeling of the momentum of your milk when it's coming out of different pitchers. So Slow Pour Supply in general for your professional pitcher needs, but specifically, these ones are a really good place to start. Now, if you watched my milk frother review from a couple months ago, you may recognize this long tube that I have in front of me. One of the things that I think is really nice to have in your everyday arsenal of coffee tools, even if you have an espresso machine with a steam wand, is a handheld milk frother. It spins and it froths your milk. That's what it does, but it can also froth a variety of other things. So if you are in the habit of making cold foam, if you need to mix up ingredients, if you are making matcha, if you need to alternatively do a dry shake on a cocktail, this thing can do all of those, and this is pretty affordable. This is like $15 to $20 in total. There are many, many hand frothers out there, and not all of them are made equal. There are definitely ones that are worse than others. So I will link this one in the description down below. This tends to be one of my favorites I use around the house. It's good quality, good build, comes with a case. It's just pretty functional. Okay, I'm gonna pile together 4 little coffee things. Now, these might be little coffee things, but they aren't all cheap, so just keep that in mind as well. These are gonna be a little bit more miscellaneous, and it depends whether you have the tools that these are applied for as to whether you need these or not. Starting off on this side, we have a nice high quality dosing funnel. This happens to be from Decent. This is for a 58mm portafilter, and it is magnetized on the bottom, meaning this slips onto a portafilter very easily. It's a nice high quality, substantial build, and it has nice high walls as well, meaning if you are WDTing, this is probably one of my favorites to ensure that you don't have spillover out of your portafilter. Now this little tool right here is a recent addition to my espresso setup, but it has fast become one of my favorites, and this comes to us from Artpresso. It's kind of this taco shape, and inside you have this little mat that is removable. You can toss into your washing machine if you need to. However, the function of this tool is essentially to replace your bar towel that you would usually be cleaning your steam wand with. So let's pretend the end of the mellow drip is the steam wand. Once you are done steaming and you have all that kind of wet milk that's then gonna get caked onto the end, you can grab this, do a little swipe, and you're clean. Additionally, kind of just pop this on, purge your steam wand if you need to. It's an all-around little nifty tool that just makes the workflow a little bit faster. And really, if you are getting down to the granular level where you need one of these, those very slight improvements to workflow make all the difference. Okay, the next one is not so much a tool as it is an ingredient in your coffee making. This is not, in fact, a pack of cigarettes. This is third wave water. Now, as we all know, water is a major part of your coffee. And so it's nice to have water that tastes good and is also consistent so you can brew really nice cups of coffee over and over and over again without being concerned about the hardness or the softness or the minerality of whatever is coming out of your tap. Third wave water is meant to be added to distilled water, and it balances out those minerals in a way that is both predictable and replicable for you. There are many different water products out there. Third wave water is definitely one of the more popular. You'll also see Lotus used at home quite a bit, but regardless, I think third wave water is a really good at least starting base for your water recipe. If you thought coffee was complicated, just wait till you go down the water rabbit hole. It gets so much worse. Lastly, in our little section of coffee tools, we have this right here, and this is called the Mellow Drip. Now, besides being very cute and honestly looking a little bit like a lily pad, this is a lovely tool to use in your pour-over brewing. This is a water dispersion tool, so instead of pouring, here, let me do this. Instead of pouring your water just directly over your bed of coffee, you would have this in the center and you'd be pouring into this. And then in here, you have all sorts of little tiny holes that would evenly disperse that water over your bed of coffee, providing, in theory, like a more even extraction and an even level of agitation across the entire bed. I use this sometimes I don't use it. I go kind of back and forth, but this is a nifty little tool, and if you do a lot of home brewing and pour overs, this is kind of a fun thing to play around with to figure out if you like it, if you don't like it, what coffees it works with, which it doesn't. Just a nifty little experiment here. And also, it looks adorable. Out of this entire section, this is one of my most favorite gift items that I have on here. This is created by, on Instagram, his username is FMDbyOptikalBlitz. His name is Raymond, and he prints and designs these beautiful, like, coffee setup devices. I'm trying to think of like a better way to describe it, but really these encapsulate everything you really need for a pour over setup in one nice area. No more hunting for filters or hiding them in drawers. They all have a nice place here. This is 3D printed. It comes in 2 different colorways. You can get it in white, or you can also get it in black. We have opted for white as the pour over station is mostly white equipment. It's organized very nicely. Here in the front, you have space for your Aeropress filters. You then have space for your flat bottom filters. You have space for your conical filters, and then this area up here is for Chemex filters. I don't use a Chemex, so I just happen to have another Mellow Drip up here actually. Over on this side, you have 2 kind of spaces for little tools. So I have 2 different agitation sticks over here. You actually have a perfectly fit spot for your Mellow Drip right here. I put a little brush here in the back of mine, and then you also can get the add-on where you have space for a little atomizer. So if you practice WDT pretty regularly, you have a little spot to keep that as well. This is a space saver and an organization saver. Okay, 2 more coffee gift tools. I'm going to introduce these together because you'll see why in a minute. Additionally, if you are versed in like kind of the coffee universe of tools and gearheads, you will probably recognize both of these. Both of these are methods of distribution called WDT, which is Weiss distribution technique, and it is in the vein of needles. And so perhaps in the past you have seen espresso people while they are preparing their pucks using a little ball of needles to kind of run through, distribute, and kind of rake out all the clumps in their espresso. That is what these do, but in a more automatic and a more like kind of optimized function. It kind of takes the guesswork out of human error, be it your wrist or your speed, and it does it for you in a little bit of a simpler way. Man, it's sometimes it's hard to describe WDT. Regardless though, both of these are at 2 different price points, and I think they serve 2 pretty unique functions. I'm actually gonna start with this one as it is on the lower end of the price range. This is the Autocomb. This comes to us from Barista Hustle, which is a company out of Australia. And I believe USD, it comes in at about $150, maybe closer to $200 when you factor in shipping and all of that. But regardless, it is in the $150 to $200 range. Let me actually grab a portafilter so I can show you what it does. So, standard 58mm portafilter. You can lift up the Autocomb very easily with the little thumb rest in the back. Place it on, twist it to lock it onto the prongs of your portafilter, and then drop it down. And then what you do is with the palm of your hand, you just rub it back and forth. And inside, we'll actually do this from above. Inside, you'll see all those needles rotate. What this action is doing is distributing that coffee evenly, breaking up clumps, but it's doing it in a manner that you don't have to do manually. It's just a couple rotations, you're good to go. This is a pretty sturdy tool. You'll notice because it has this kind of cage built around it that I'm not gonna say you can kind of chuck this around, but this is definitely more built for like a cafe setting where like things are liable to get bumped around or moved or like just a little bit more dangerous of an environment. It's a nifty tool. I think I will probably use this in competition this year. It's really nice. Now this right here is the Moonraker from Weber Workshops, and you'll find this to be, I think, the most expensive item on this list. Now there are two versions of the Moonraker available depending on what type of material you want, especially these like these little cogs in here to be built out of. This is the more affordable of the two, and I believe it sits at around $350, and then the other one is significantly more expensive. So this is a pricey item, but it is very beautifully made. I'm gonna do this from the side so you can see when it gets to that point. However, very similar make. You'll notice that this has needles on the bottom. When you turn the Moonraker, those needles turn as well. Now, what is especially stunning about this is just like the top of it. Like visually, this is a very beautiful and meticulously designed device. This is very watch face inspired. It feels very luxurious to use this. Now, if you've used a manual distributor before, you'll be familiar with the action, but of course, Moonraker just nestles nicely on top of your 58mm portafilter. You turn it for how many rotations you do, you lift it, and in theory, you have a nice, evenly distributed bed of coffee. Both of these are functionally doing the same thing. It just kind of depends where your priorities are and what you want out of your tools. Frankly, I'd be super happy to receive either of these as a gift. I think they're both lovely. So decide for your coffee person what is best for them. Okay. We have one more section. I have talked about so many coffee things. Let's talk about some things that are not necessarily coffee things, but are also kind of coffee things. In the miscellaneous category, the first item I have here is called a Hyperchiller. So this is a really interesting little contraption that very easily fits into your freezer, and the intention of it is to rapidly freeze or hyperchill whatever liquid you put inside of this. This Hyperchiller breaks apart into several different sections, and when assembled and water is properly added, it creates this double-walled containment unit with ice on either sides. And so when you pour something in the top, it gets cold within like instantly, like a couple seconds. Where this is really useful is especially with chilling espresso. Now for many drink builds and like recipe creation, you want to use espresso. You don't want it to be piping hot as it melts down ice and causes a lot of rapid dilution. And this is where the Hyperchiller comes in really, really helpful. It allows you to cool down your espresso without just letting it sit there and letting it oxidize and kind of lose all those delicious flavors. Additionally, you can use this for like flash brew. So if you are wanting to quickly chill your hot coffee and enjoy it as iced coffee, this is a great way to do that as well. Now these are pretty durable. They are also pretty affordable at like 15 to 20 bucks, and you will see these at pretty much every barista competition everywhere. We really love our Hyperchillers. In the vein of barista competitions and also drink making, if your coffee nerd is a drink making enthusiast beyond the new art of coffee, you might want to pick them up some cocktail essentials. So I recommend having some sort of shaker and strainer on your bar if you're frequently making drinks. You can make all sorts of delicious shaken espresso drinks beyond the espresso martini. I'm talking NA drinks here. You can do shaken lattes. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with these. I've made lots of videos where I've shown many different drinks that utilize shakers as their main tool, and having a strainer as well just makes this all a nice little set. Now, going down that path of if you're a coffee nerd is a drink making person, it might be nice to add a kitchen siphon to their arsenal. These are fantastic like multi-purpose tools that you can use for really rapid infusions. You can make whipped cream in them. You can add all sorts of texture to your drinks in them. They're all around just a nice thing to have. Even beyond coffee making, this is a good kitchen tool. Now, additionally with this whipping siphon, you will need to buy 1, 2, or both of these type of chargers over here. One of these is carbon dioxide. So if you are wanting to do sodas or carbonated things, you will buy these blue ones right here. And the ones down here are cream chargers. These are gonna add a very pillowy texture. These are gonna be the things that make whipped cream. You can do a lot with these as well. Very different purposes, but lots of fun, sciencey, interesting things you can make with a whipping siphon and some chargers. Now these ones are definitely coffee things. These are a little bit less on the glamorous side of coffee things, but they are arguably some of the most important. Both of these are going to be cleaning tools for your coffee equipment. Right over here, this is called Puro. This is from, both of these are actually from the company Urnex. Puro is specifically for cleaning your steaming and your milk wand. Additionally, the Cafiza over on this side is for your general espresso machine care. I will also note that Cafiza is just great for like cleaning pretty much everything. If you have really stubborn thermoses that have either caked on milk or coffee or like a smell that you can't get rid of, I can almost guarantee you that Cafiza will clean it right out with some hot water and a long soak. This is also me saying, please, for the love of God, clean your equipment. Get some of this stuff, keep it under your bar. They also make great stocking stuffers. This is not an Urnex ad. You just see these absolutely everywhere in cafes and for very good reason. Your very last coffee gift item is actually not coffee related whatsoever. It is fully tea related. And this again kind of fits into the, if your person likes coffee things, perhaps they also like tea things. If you are really looking for something to gift your coffee person as they explore different drink options, having a nice matcha set I think is a very good thing. So having a nice wide bowl that you can mix your matcha in, and additionally, having a nice high quality bamboo whisk will make your matcha all the better and also give you a nice bit of practice in that back and forth method that you might be using in manual WDT. See, I'm bringing it back to coffee somehow here. Regardless, this is just me talking about matcha and how much I love matcha and how having a nice matcha kit enhances that experience, and it's a nice gift. Okay, I think we have now completed the 2023 Morgan Holiday gift list video. I guess we'll call it that. Hopefully these were all helpful to you, and hopefully these have sparked some ideas as to how you can check some people off of your list this year. Now, once more, just to reiterate, I have compiled all of the things we have talked about plus lists. I'm gonna have it linked down below. It actually goes over to my blog, and so you can kind of search through that. Additionally, if you are looking for recipe inspiration, that blog also has that. So go forth, have fun, do your shopping. I hope it's not too stressful, and I will see you all next time. I'm Morgan. I do YouTube videos once a week, plus shorts. Additionally, you can find me on TikTok or Instagram almost every single day. I made myself a cold brew earlier prior to starting this video, which might explain the speed of this video. It's a little bit watery. However, I'm gonna go finish this. I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.